Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Thank you very much for joining us here on our YouTube channel for episode number 815. Well, today we are going to be talking all about chickens and a mobile chicken coop business in a rural area of southwest Nebraska. I'm going to be speaking with Morayah Cupp, and she's going to talk to us all about how she got started and how she fulfills the need for chickens in her community. We'll get that started for you right now. Joining me today is Morayah Cupp, and she is coming to us from, the Imperial FFA chapter at the Chase County High School, Chase County Schools in Imperial, Nebraska. And I discovered Morayah through an article that was online about a very interesting project she's been doing. So excited to speak with her, and she's serving as her chapter's reporter this year. Morayah, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you, Matt, for having me.
You bet. I'm looking forward to the conversation, and I was thrilled to find that article about you. It sounds like you're doing some interesting things there.
Thank you. Yeah, so our newspaper is pretty good about keeping our FFA chapter and its members involved in our community, and they're just doing some SAE spotlights. So I was pretty excited to be chosen for one of those last week.
Very cool. Well, now, what part of the state is Imperial, Nebraska? Where are you at?
So I actually live in Champion, Nebraska. I just go to school in Imperial, which is like 7 miles south of Imperial Champion is. But that's in like the very southwest corner of Nebraska. So
Okay.
The only town like below us before you reach Kansas is Benkelman, and we're like 20 minutes from the Colorado border.
Okay. All right. So you are right there in the corner then.
Yep.
Okay. Now, when you're not at school, when you're at home, and are you at home right now, or are you shut down because of the COVID-19, or are you still going to school?
Nope. The pandemic shut down our school for the rest of the school year.
Rest of the school year. Yeah, same where I'm at as well. So when you're at home, then are you in town? Are you on a farm? Or are you something kind of in the middle of those two?
We live on a farm. It's pretty low-key around here. We have about like a 60, 70 headish. We run like Maine on Jew calves and just a cow-calf herd, and then we also grow crops and things like that too.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay. What kind of crops do you grow out there in southwest Nebraska?
we have corn, wheat, beans, like soybeans and things like that. Just pretty basic around here.
Okay. And in your part of Nebraska, is everything irrigated?
No, we have some dry land. A lot of it is irrigated, but I'd say it's probably 50-50.
Okay. Yeah, interesting stuff. I'm always interested in finding out about different regions and what goes on and how things get done there. Now, how long have you been part of the FFA?
I joined the FFA my 7th grade year. My mom actually coaches the junior high quiz bowl team
Okay.
that we have like through the FFA chapter. But we don't actually have to like pay our dues as actual members until we get to high school.
Okay. So you get to begin very early there in the Imperial FFA.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Now, normally when I speak to somebody from a chapter, their chapter kind of has the same name as their high school. So what's the distinction for your chapter in that it's called Imperial FFA, but you're at Chase County High School?
We have the Juanita Palisade FFA chapter and the Imperial FFA chapter in the same county.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So we had to distinguish between the two schools because the Chase County School is in Imperial and the Juanita Palisade School is in Juanita.
Got it. Okay. I think I've got it now. So two different high schools, both under the umbrella of the Chase County schools. And so you have different chapter names to distinguish those.
Kind of, yes.
Okay, well, that's probably good enough. That's probably good enough for our purposes. So, so your mom was coaching the Quiz Bowl in the middle school chapter. Is that why you joined the FFA, or did you have reasons in addition to that?
So Actually, we don't have a middle school chapter. We just like to have our junior high members like get involved before high school.
Okay.
Like a lot of the southern states actually have middle school chapters because their schools are large enough, which we come from a town of about 2,100, which is not a lot. So our high school only has probably 200 kids in it.
Okay.
And so they just, so I joined FFA just because we got into agriculture. I got into agriculture at a very young age, and I found that was my thing. I don't really, I do like softball and some other things, but like FFA is what really like hits home for me because it touches all of my, like all of the things that I like to do. So.
Okay. Yeah, very good. And obviously, you've got involved in it even deeper. You've become an officer. Now you're serving as your chapter's reporter. What made you want to go to that level?
Our officer team has always set like the good vibes that we share throughout our chapter during the FFA year. They just make the FFA chapter like fun to be in during the year, and I guess that like setting that positive role model for those junior high kids that are looking to be in the organization has always been really important to me, and so that's mostly why I became an officer.
Okay, yeah, very good. Well, I know there's at least one FFA advisor that's been there through your journey. Would you mind just mentioning who that advisor or advisors have been for you?
Yes, so Jason Speck is my advisor right now. He has been my advisor all the way through. We also had, he just retired last year as the FFA advisor, but his name is Jeremy Vlashine.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for mentioning both of them. Always want to acknowledge our FFA advisors. And really quick, I would like to acknowledge a couple of our great sponsors here on the show, everybody. Of course, I want to talk about lacrossefootwear.com. You can find them, of course, at lacrossefootwear.com. Lacrosse has been making great quality products since 1897. I mean, way back into the 19th century. And I always like to talk about having them as a sponsor during our FFA episodes because Lacrosse Footwear is proud to support the FFA by annually sponsoring 15 scholarships along with 100 jackets as part of the Give the Gift of Blue program. And, you know, we use those Alpha Range boots here on our farm every single day out here in Idaho, and we hope you'll be using them wherever you are at as well. You can find them at lacrossefootwear.com, and then, of course, Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment. Man, I'm just so proud to have that Powder River green here on our farm. We use their squeeze chutes, their livestock panels, everything we need for our cattle. We can get through Powder River, and we hope you will do the same. Let your local farm and ranch retailer know you'd like to see that Powder River green out in their sales yard so you can buy the finest in livestock handling equipment. And check them out over at powderriver.com. All right, well, Morayah, let's talk about your supervised agricultural experience. After all, this is the reason for the article that led me to find you. What have you been doing?
So my SAE is called Mo's Mobile Coops. What it is I rent out these things called rental kits, and what the renter receives, they pay per month, and they get a mobile chicken coop, so like a chicken coop that's on wheels and has like a rope that you pull it with, and then you receive the laying hens to go with and everything you need to house them. So like bedding, feeder, water, feed, some like fried mealworm treats, like anything that you need throughout your journey, and you can keep them for however many months as you'd like. Okay.
Very interesting. How did you get started with this idea?
So my mom was in Nashville for a wedding a while ago, probably like 5 or 6 years now, and she happened to stop at one of the convention centers, and there was a Louisiana Southern Women's small business convention going on or something like that.
Okay.
And at that time, I started looking for an SAE at a pretty young age compared to like most FFA members, just because I was excited to get involved in all that. and she kind of was looking through those small businesses, looking for ideas. And there were a couple ladies that were doing something kind of similar, and that's kind of how I got hooked on it.
Got it. Okay. So she found that idea and brought it home to you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So you liked the idea. You decided to implement it. So then did you build your own mobile chicken coops, or did you buy kits and put them together? I mean, how did that all work?
So my first 2 coops were built from a neighbor that's just up the road from us, and he did it just as an experiment because he likes woodworking and that kind of a thing. And so he did those for me. One was actually free because he used just like scrap pieces of wood from like our local dump that someone didn't want.
Okay.
And the other one was even nicer. So, but other than that, I now have 6 coops. And the other 4 have just been like kits that we buy and put together. And then we build the bracing and put like the wheels and the rope on. And we kind of have our own plan for the bottom half of the coops.
Okay, very cool. And so you're getting some help at home with this, or do you do all the construction yourself? How does that part work?
No, Dad helps me quite a bit. It's a good team.
Okay.
It's tons of teamwork to put in at home, but they don't take very long to put together.
Now, you must keep a laying flock of chickens at your place, and then when somebody orders one of these kits, you grab some layers and stick them in. Is that how that works?
Yep. Each rental kit comes with either 4 or 5 hens, depending on how much they'd like to pay monthly or how big their family is.
Okay. Very interesting. So I've always got this question. We keep chickens at our place too, but we don't get as many eggs per day as we have chickens, and it's off by enough that some aren't laying anymore. And I always wonder, how do you figure out which ones are laying and which ones are not unless you're out there to watch?
So we have like enough chicken. We don't have like a commercial sized flock. We have just enough chickens that we kind of know like which ones have been here for a few years and which ones we just put in. You can also tell kind of by their like feather quality and their scale quality on their legs. Okay. Because a lot of the older hens that when they get to that age where they stop laying are they're pretty much falling apart. I mean,
Okay.
they get so old that it's like difficult for them to do things to keep up with themselves.
So you're putting your youngest looking chickens in that coop as long as they're laying.
Yes.
Okay. So this is interesting. So this idea is that if folks want eggs that are raised fresh, they want a constant supply of eggs, but they don't want to go to the trouble to building the coop, buying the chickens, learning everything, you've got a package deal for them that you can just pull over there, give it to them, get them set up, and now they've got eggs every day.
Yes, so that is what the main point of my SAE is, and especially now with the whole COVID thing going on and people not being able to go everywhere as easily as they normally would, it's a lot easier for them to like eat farm fresh. That's a big thing that I push, and it's very nice of my customers. I really appreciate them supporting local and kind of just it's my effort in keeping as many germs away from the community as possible,
Yeah, that's great. So when you got started with this, how did you find customers? How did you locate people and tell them about the rental option and get them to go for it?
So currently we aren't allowed to have have chickens in town. I mean, I'm sure some people still do, but we legally aren't supposed to. And so it was kind of difficult to find people that live like in the rural areas, like outside of town, that don't already have chickens. And so I just started on social media. I sent some flyers out through our 4-H program to all of its members. But my first year was rough. I only rented one house out of the 2 that I had. Okay. And this year I am growing rapidly. I just got a text today, actually, that I have another rental going out next week, and that will be my 5th one going out, and I have a total of 6 coops. So I have 4 out right now.
Wow, so you're almost to full capacity.
So we just keep building the coops
Sure.
as customers come in. So, like, if you were to text me tomorrow and say that you wanted a coop next week, it would give me that full week
Right.
to get it ready for you.
So this is interesting. So the town of Imperial does not allow people to keep chickens in their backyards.
No.
But you live in the heart of ag country. I mean, you are, the definition of where you live is farming. It's funny to me that a municipality would say no chickens.
Right. It definitely has been an obstacle for my SAE, for sure. But, you really just have to find ways to adapt. There's not much you can do about it. I could definitely argue against the policy and go to the city about it, but I am thriving right now with the community that we have and the policies that we have. So I'm just going to stick to what I got and hope for the best.
Well, I'm glad it's working out for you. I'm just blown away by that. I mean, you would think, like I live near Boise, Idaho, and Boise's a bigger city. And so I would expect to find a policy in a bigger city that is more detached from agriculture on something like that. It's interesting to me that out there in the middle of farm country, they're saying no. If you're not out there farming the acres, then we're not allowing you to raise any of your food in your own backyard.
Right.
But I know that's controversial. That different towns, different cities have different policies governing that. Okay, so somebody makes an order with you. They say, hey, we want you to bring us a coop and some chickens. We're ready to go for it. Then what happens next? I'm assuming they got to go in the back of the pickup or something like that, and you take everything over and set them up?
So rent is due by the 10th of every month. So, I try to wait till, the person that texted me today, since it's after the 10th of April, I would prefer to wait till the first 10 days of May to deliver their coop, because then they would be getting a full month's money worth of what they're paying for. Does that make sense?
Sure. So you don't want to prorate it. You want to start at the beginning of a month.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So how come you don't want to take it over right away and just charge them a partial for the rest of April?
It's just an awkward time. I don't know. It's just an awkward time, especially when a lot of families get busier, around our area during the middle of the month. It's just something that we try to adjust to around here. So it's just a preference of mine to do it that way. It's easier to keep track of, especially when you're entering things into our SAE trackers too.
Okay. Now it's interesting. So why do folks choose to rent rather than put up their own coop and buy their own chickens?
So my customers all have different reasons for supporting my business. One family specifically said, we just really want to support an FFA member in their SAE, and you were doing a great job of putting yours out there and marketing it, so we choose you.
That's great.
While as another family was like, we want eggs, we would prefer to get 12 to 14 eggs a week. We have a growing family, and we want to feed them during this time, and that's great as well. But it's really just their reasons vary. Others they know they want chickens eventually. They just want to know how many to start out with and to see if they can handle them with the age that their kids are at, or see if their kids can handle the responsibilities, things like that.
Okay, got it. So, there's a variety of reasons out there, but they're ready to get going right now. They're ready to have fresh eggs the day after you deliver.
Yes.
Okay.
Hens have, as you said, you have chickens, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
So do you guys hatch them on your farm, or what do you do?
Sorry, ask me that again.
do you hatch your own chickens like on your farm, or do you buy them?
We've always bought them, but we're just starting that. So actually, my daughter will start the FFA next year, and we bought an incubator just about I guess it's been about 2.5 weeks ago, because we're expecting our first chicks to hatch here in the next 3 or 4 days. So actually, we're just beginning that, just starting that.
That's exciting. So something that I thought I'd like to tell you is that my mother is a second grade teacher here at the same school. And she has a commercial incubator, so one that holds hundreds of eggs at one time. And she hatches eggs in the classroom. And since we aren't in school here anymore, obviously, she is recording videos of the process and explaining to her kids the different stages of the egg developing and things like that. So those hens that she is using, or those eggs that she's hatching to explain to her kids, will be layers for next year's rental kits.
Very cool. Now, I've got even more questions for you about this, since we're just getting started with this. So, for example, we don't have enough chickens to fill the incubator full of eggs all at once. But you run into a situation if you stagger the eggs going in, at least based on us trying to figure this out, where towards the end of the process where the egg is developing, the humidity needs to go up. But if you've been staggering eggs putting in there, then the humidity is too high for the newer eggs. If you keep it at that level, it's too low for the later eggs. How do you deal with that?
We just set different sets. We put them in different sets. So we have a total of 3 different sets of chicks throughout the year, because they're 21-day periods, that it takes a chick 21 days to hatch out of an egg. And so it would take 63 days. And we would have roughly 63 days, and we would have 3 different ages of chicks, but it's just what we do because of that humidity change that's required.
So when you do a batch, they all start at the same time, and you don't change that during that 21-day period. Okay. So I think this is a hard lesson we're going to learn on doing this, because we actually staggered them and we screwed it up. So we'll see what winds up happening with this. So you guys do that. So then that begs the question, how many eggs did you say your mom can incubate at one time with that commercial incubator?
100 to 150, 200 at sometimes. It just depends on what size of egg trays we have in there.
Okay, so where is she getting the fertilized eggs?
From our flock.
Oh, well, okay, so you've got to have you've got a lot of chickens then.
We have probably 60, but it's not,
Okay.
We don't fill the incubator each time. We only put about 50 in there.
Okay, got it. Okay, so my next question then is this. Then, of course, chickens, when you introduce a new chicken into a flock, those other chickens are hard on it. So you're gonna hatch these chicks, you'll put them in a brooder, you're going to get them raised up. When will you introduce them into the hen house, I guess, or wherever you keep your chickens with the rest of your layers?
About a month before they start laying.
Okay. So then are your chickens, are they running around the farm, or do you have them confined?
At night they're confined, but during the day they really just run around our yard.
Okay, that's the same with us. So then where are you raising the chickens until they're ready to go in with the laying flock? Do you have a separate coop for them, or how do you do that?
Yeah, we hatch our chickens in a shop, and then we transport them to our brooder house, which is what they stay in until they're juvenile age, so that month before the laying time, and then we move them to a whole the actual coop that they will live in.
Okay, so they've got a brooder house there, and during the day when they're in that brooder house, do they get to come out and go around? Are they fenced in? How do you work that?
There's a screen door that stays on it during the daytime, and when it gets really warm in the summer, there's a fan in there, but other than that, no, they don't get to go outside until they're
okay.
moved
So they're staying in there. They're safe until it's time for them to go into the coop.
Yep.
Okay. See, now you know why I do this show, because you're teaching me, and I can fix what I'm doing wrong or what my daughter and I are doing wrong here at our place. Okay, interesting. So I've got to build a brooder house, is what you're telling me.
I mean, some people use like tractor rims, some people use like little livestock tanks and put just like a piece of chicken wire over the top and some heat lamps. It's totally like, it does not need to be a house. We just keep it like that because we like to keep them in there like for a long time, and we don't feel that they would be very comfortable in a tank or like a rim for that long.
Right. So how long? I mean, when you say a month before they're ready to start laying, so how long from hatching to going to the hen house?
So the age of a pullet hen is 20 weeks. So you're looking at like 5 months. So at like 4 months, we put them in with they stay in the brooder house for about 4 months.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. So yeah, that's a long time if you're using a tank or something like that. That's a long time for them to live in there.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Fascinating stuff. Okay. Thank you for helping me with this. This is important information. So now, when you're hatching, do you have times where in your brooder house you're providing heat, or are you always providing a heat lamp for them in there?
You're always providing a heat lamp.
Gotcha. In middle of summer, you're still providing one just at nighttime or something like that?
Yep.
Okay. Interesting stuff.
We go from like 3 heat lamps to 1 heat lamp.
Okay. Okay, very good. And now, are you selling any layers in addition to using them for your rental fleet?
So I am. I don't really have them like entered in the AET or like the SAE tracker as like another SAE, but I am selling them. I just placed an order for some juvenile birds, or like for some baby chicks that we aren't hatching. That I'm going to raise until they're like juvenile age and then sell them for some people. Okay. And we have probably 70 of those going out this spring.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then how many roosters do you run with those 60 chickens to make sure everybody's getting fertilized eggs?
I don't know like the required number of like what the hen to rooster ratio should be. But we only have like 4 roosters.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, this is all very exciting. I'm learning a lot of good information right here. I appreciate it. Well, so this is fascinating, Morayah. Let's talk about what's next for you. So your junior year is going to end with not a bang, because you're not going back to school till your senior year. So the next time you go back, you'll be starting your final year of high school. And then after high school, what do you have planned?
After high school, I plan to go to Northeastern Junior College in Sterling, Colorado, which is about a 90-mile drive for me probably.
Okay.
And then moving on from the junior college, I plan to go to either Oklahoma State or the University of Nebraska. I haven't decided yet.
Okay. So you've narrowed it down to 2 schools. Do you know what it is you want to study at this point?
Probably ag marketing or ag business. I haven't decided yet.
Okay. And will you continue to be an entrepreneur?
Yes, that is something I look forward to doing. I've also looked into education because I love speaking to people about my SAE and educating them on the area of poultry and things like that as well.
Yeah, that is great. Wonderful stuff. Well, before we wrap it up today, I would love to ask your advice for other students out there when it comes to figuring out an enterprise and just kind of getting it going and developing customers and then persevering through that like hard first year that you had. What advice would you have for other students?
So for other students, my advice is to really expand your horizons when it comes to picking out your SAE or your enterprise. So like if your family farms and you think that all you can do for your SAE is just enter your farming like project, Really reach outside the box and find something that you enjoy and something that you think your community will benefit from, not just what you think you have to stick to or like what the status quo would be for like your family or your past siblings.
Very good. All right. Well, Morayah, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing all this great information. I learned a ton.
Thank you for having me, Matt. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for joining us here today, everybody, and thank you to Morayah Cupp for coming on the Off-Farm Income Podcast. As always, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.